Hey Honda Monkey fans, got some exciting stuff here continuing on this 2019 Honda Monkey build. The next addition to the bike is going to be this Vortex rear sprocket, and we went with a 36 tooth rear sprocket. Stock is 34, and what the goal is on this changeover is going to be to get a little bit more low end torque, a little bit more usable RPM range. And there's a couple of options out there. The Man in the Box website has a custom built 36 tooth sprocket that's pretty nice. However, I chose to go with this Vortex piece here, and the reason why I went with this was twofold. One, because I work with my local dealership. I have an account with them, and this was one of the sprockets that was available to me via that, and it's just pretty nice looking. It's red and anodized, and it's aluminum, so it's going to be lighter weight than the stock sprocket. And we'll actually compare the weights on it too, if there's some of you out there that are interested in the numbers like I am. So anything to drop weight off this bike is a goal and a desire of mine to do. The easiest way to get weight off this bike is to get the weight off my body. Of course, I'm 200 pounds, so that doesn't help. I'm on a tiny bike and I'm too heavy for it, but it's kind of easier to buy some parts to lose the weight, even if it's in ounces. So race car philosophy, I'm a race car driver too. The more weight you can get off of your machine or your car, the faster and more nimble it'll be. So I believe that's true with motorcycles, and especially small bore motorcycles. So it never hurts, in my opinion, to lose weight. So I bet some of you are concerned about the aluminum nature of this sprocket and how it might wear a little bit. This is also a concern of mine. However, I don't ride the bike daily. I don't commute with it, and I don't really ride it enough to probably see wear, but I will keep my eye on it. So I know the aluminum sprocket is a very common upgrade. It's not something that would come on the bike stock, however, so we'll consider it an upgrade based on trying to get different speed characteristics out of the stock motor, and also to lose a couple ounces. I just wanted to highlight the weight difference between these two sprockets. So the stock sprocket is 1 pound 2.5 ounces, and the Vortex 36 tooth is going to be a whopping 6.1 ounces. So you're talking about a massive weight difference between the stock sprocket and the aftermarket aluminum sprocket. At the end of your sprocket change, you're going to want to throw some chain lube on it. I chose Maxima chain wax for my lube of choice, and once you get it lubed up and adjusted, I adjusted mine a little bit on the tight side of the 1 3/8 that the factory recommends. In case you guys wanted to follow along with the same rear sprocket as I used, it is a Vortex sprocket, part number 206ZR-36, which is a 36 tooth 420 chain size rear sprocket, and I got the red, but there are different versions. And we're gonna do a top speed test with the 14 tooth 36 tooth rear sprocket combo. Of course, the mods are Yoshimura pipe, the man in the box M-Take, we have the Bazaz CFI fuel controller with the AFM module attached. We also have Shinko Mauber knobby tires, which are essentially motocross tires, and these are set at 20 psi. So that's going to be a little bit lower and rougher, more resistant than the stock tires. And I know my speedo is off, so we got Waze going on the other hand, which is, we're holding at 37 miles an hour on the factory speedo and 30 on the Waze. So speedo is gonna be way off. So we're gonna see how much it is off, but also try to get a look at what our top speed potential is with the gear combo based on what GPS on Waze is telling us. So we're basically gonna go and top out and take a look at the speed. Climbing up to around 68. Speedo is 55 on the GPS. Feels like we're getting a little bit more. Speedo says 72. We're looking at about 59 to 60 on the GPS. We'll cut it off there. So we just did the top speed run with the 14 tooth front, 36 tooth rear sprocket combo. Not a full tuck, but hunched over tuck, head down by the gas tank, and visor closed. That makes a difference. And it's a hot day here in Florida. It's probably 95 to 100 degrees. And I just witnessed 72 miles an hour on my Monkey factory speedo. However, looking at the GPS going on Waze, we only experienced about 55 or so miles an hour. So with that, you can tell that the speedo is way off as far as putting those gears on there. So that no way should be used to, the factory speedo in no way should be used to determine what your speed capability is, or your new speeds are with the gears. However, this is the first top speed test I've done with this gear combo, and I can tell you that the bike pulls really, really, really hard up through the gears, and it gets to top speed really quick with this gear combo. But the interesting thing to note, pull my visor up, but the interesting thing to note is that I still don't hit the rev limiter at the top of fourth gear. So I'm topping the bike out, but yet I'm still not hitting the rev limiter. So what does that tell me? It basically tells me I can still go a little bit higher with my gearing, and I can still pull harder through the RPM range and still not hit the RPM limiter on the top. So there's a lot of room to play with in the gearing on this bike. I could probably even go to a 37 or maybe a 13 in the front and still get a lot of pull out of my low range and still not be topping out. So the engine RPMs certainly have so much room to play with, and you can do a lot of gear changes and not put that engine at its RPM limit in top gear. However, if you want to tuck in and try to get a top speed with the real low gearing, or like, you know, a higher gearing number like a 15 tooth, like which is factory, or 16 tooth even, in the factory rear sprocket, you might be able to go over 70, even 75. But man, it's going to take you a long time to get there if you don't have those mods to support it. So we're essentially looking at a bolt-on motor here. It's a stock motor, stock bore. The only real things I have done are the intake and the exhaust as far as the motor goes, and the fuel controller. So we're not modding this bike out, but it's just not going to get up there to that 70 mile an hour mark easily. So without the mods, it's a lot more fun, in my opinion, to make the bike get up and move and just accelerate like crazy with these gears. And you're still topping out around 60, I'd say. It's hard to say in Florida here because it's flat and it's humid and it's not the best conditions to get power. So I'd say it's a 60 mile an hour bike with this gearing setup. And for me, that's probably about right, because I don't really plan to go out on highways and you know, go mix it up on actual traffic filled roads. And I like, you know, bombing the neighborhoods and my race car paddocks and stuff with it. So at the end of my day, this gearing works really good for me because it allows me to get up and accelerate fast, and I do a fair amount of off-road riding, and with that it you know, it gets up out of its way pretty good and supports these tires well. If there's any more data you want on it that I can review, let me know in the comments. As always, thanks for watching, and feedback is excellent. I love the comments, and subscriptions are even better. So thanks again.